TGT. What the world is watching.
There I am. Listen, we are hot off Top Guy weekend. Yes, we've been dropping episodes for a couple of weeks, but peek behind the curtain, behind the blinds. Quick call for you. Those were in the can in August. So we have a special treat for you guys today. We've got the Podfather himself, and we're going to have to kick it old school. We're going to be talking a little bit about Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero from Halloween Havoc 1997 is my dog in the background. And we're also going to be watching Masato Tanaka versus Mike Awesome from Heatwave 1998. And I'm going to stop yapping because y'all don't want to, you didn't come here to see me. You came here to see the Podfather himself. So away we go. Well, what? Were you expecting the whole crew? Were you expecting what I promised? Of course you're going to get what I promised. But we had to kick it old school with Conrad. We went back to the days of TGT lore when it was just a bunch of guys in a Zoom. So let's take you to that. We're all chilling in Zoom, watching some shit with Conrad Thompson. And away we go. All right, everybody, here we go. Top Guy Theater returns after, gosh, we had an epic Top Guy weekend. We haven't, Conrad, just so you know, we haven't, we recorded like 4 episodes one weekend so that we could kind of go to Top Guy Theater or Top Guy weekend and just kick back and relax. We dropped everything every other Friday or whatever it was. So this is our first get together since Top Guy weekend.
Well, that's awesome, man. I'm doing that in my real life right now too. Next weekend, I'll be in Charlotte for Morgan's last tennis game of the year. So as a result, I'm doubling up this week. So I feel your pain, man.
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead. No, I was just saying I wanted to get the sentimental stuff out of the way, but I just wanted to tell you that we appreciate you for everything you've done for us, because honestly, the 4 of us, Carl Mandick, Antonio, we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for what you put together back in for me, it was March of 2020. So and you really were the voice of our pandemic. So I wanted you to know that. I really wanted you to know what it's meant to us to come together, and this entire ad-free shows has really changed our at least my life for the best. So I appreciate it, and I just wanted you to know that.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate you saying that, and I want to thank you guys. I mean, we wouldn't be doing ad-free shows, and we wouldn't have all the hosts that we have, and we wouldn't be continuing to hire folks and grow if it weren't for you guys. So I'm tickled to be here on Top Guy Theater and appreciate that you guys are doing what we started with. A couple of friends sitting around talking about wrestling. Man, it doesn't get more fun than that.
All right, we got our sound bite. Let's go. Thanks,
right.
leader Conrad.
So everybody out there, we're going to Halloween Havoc 1997, and by far one of the best wrestling matches to this day that I've ever seen. It is season 9, episode 1. We are all going to be starting at 2840, and it is the intro of Rey Mysterio Jr. When everybody's ready, I think we're all good.
Except for Carl Mandick, who I have given this meeting ID to 18 times,
It's all good.
and he's still looking for it in an email. So he can come in whenever he shows
All
up.
good. All right, I think we're all ready.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're gonna go 3, 2, 1, and play. And I wanted to start by saying I really, really, really still miss Halloween Havoc. It's still one of my favorite. I don't know. It's just iconic to me, and I wish that they would. I know NXT brought it back, but
it's not the same. And listen, you're exactly right. I miss it too. I can't tell you the last time I bought a wrestling shirt. I'm not saying that because I hate wrestling or whatever, but I'm just saying we sell so many wrestling shirts that usually Silva or Ryan or somebody just sends a bunch of our stuff to my house. So I don't normally go out of my way to buy a wrestling shirt. And literally last night, I saw that WWE Shop Zone is selling a Halloween Havoc t-shirt. And I was like, well, I'm buying that. So I bought a wrestling shirt last night, and it's a Halloween Havoc shirt. So I share your sentiment.
Yeah, I'm logging on the Shop Zone right now.
I was gonna say I didn't know that, so I'm all about that. And just everyone's aware, the stipulations for this match were a mask versus belt. Is that what I'm reading right? Yeah, title versus mask match.
So I was going through and I was trying to find 2 matches to watch since we only had an hour with you today, and I'm thinking back, what are all the matches Conrad has really talked about? And this one came up immediately because this is the measuring. This is the if you don't like this, you don't like wrestling match. And I also remember
that this is the I'm not sure if I like wrestling or why do you watch that or I don't get it. Shouldn't you? Aren't you a grown up? Blah blah blah. I would be able to say, hey, you know what? Give me 30 minutes and let me just show you one thing and then we'll talk after. And if it's still silly horse shit, then, I understand. And I even did that test to Corey Ryan Forrester and he was like, okay, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Me and Corey are buddies. We are both rabid Tennessee Titans fans. So,
Lord bless you. Hey, they got Bama kids all over that program right now.
They do.
Wide out. So I'm all about it. But Titans gonna Titan.
I love this outfit Mysterio's wearing.
Yeah, this is one of my absolute favorite. Although they obviously later on in the match, Eddie's gonna rip it, but still, it was
mine. This is not even top 5 for me for Ray looks, but it is an iconic look because it does feel like he's playing dress up more than normal, which I like for Halloween. But I think this is about as good as Eddie Guerrero ever looked. I know when he went to WWE, he would certainly get a little bigger and present himself as more of a heavyweight, but just physically. This is maybe Eddie at his peak. This is Eddie at his prime to me.
Absolutely. Kind of before the fall, if you were, before he had all the problems that he had.
Hey, everyone, please welcome Carl Mandick to the show. He is only 7 minutes late today. That is a record, sir.
Mm-hmm.
He's on mute, so we can look at his pretty face. So Conrad, I will tell you that I don't know if you remember this or not, but on some of the Ask Conrads, I think I chimed in and was just like, "Thank you so much for Derrick Henry."
He's a stud, dude. He's unbelievable.
I've had many debates, and I know we're probably going to lose Phil because we're talking football, but I've had debate with people that CMC is better, and I'm like, CMC might have more receiving yards, but Derrick Henry, I think, is probably one of the best pure runners in the NFL right now. I mean, what he did against Seattle last week, after he had like a miserable first half, and then he just pounded the shit out of them the entire second half, and I mean,
it makes you wonder how long he can do it. Sometimes the NFL will just, and Alabama used to do this too. I mean, we would just run running backs into the ground, and You go back, yeah, golly, it feels like 20 years ago, and you see what Sean Alexander did when he first started with the Seahawks, and it was over very quickly. And I kind of feel like, if we're going to make analogies, that's sort of what we're seeing right now in the ring with Rey Mysterio. Now, certainly in more recent years, it feels like Rey has found that fountain of youth, and him and Dustin Rhodes are not sharing it with everybody. But look at Rey. There's no knee brace. There's no, I mean, he's high flying, he's innovative, but this is really before the injuries got the better of him. Brandy was just talking about how this is before maybe substances got the better of Eddie, but this is before the knee stuff really took over. And he was probably already hurting if I had to guess. I mean, I remember it being an angle in WCW in 96 and 97. Oh, and he's starting to tear the mask.
Yeah. I mean, the psychology is incredible. It's hard for me to like. I'm trying not to be a fanboy right now as I'm watching this thing, because
I would almost argue that out of this entire pay-per-view, this is the best match on this card.
Not even close.
You could argue out of this entire promotion's existence, this is the best match they ever did.
Absolutely.
Well, I've got the entire card in front of me, and I mean the match. I feel real bad for Alex Wright and Steve McMichael, who had to go on after these guys.
You know what sucks though, and listen, I love Las Vegas. It's probably my favorite city to vacation in, especially when I was a single man. I would go to UFCs out there, I don't know, 5 or 6 times a year with my buddies, and it was just a nonstop party. Tremendous time. However, can you imagine if this match was presented in the ECW arena?
Oh, Jesus.
This match was presented in Chicago, or if let's pretend this was the main event of All In. I mean, as great as the match is, what if they had a crowd that really appreciated it and weren't, necessarily, where's Hulk Hogan? We want to see the NWO.
Yep.
You don't see too many people cheering or on their feet in this match.
They're on their fucking hands, and this is the greatest match there ever was. So if we put it in front of a proper crowd, my goodness, what could it look like?
Inside the ECW arena, you might actually take the roof off it. As good as this match
we'd be hearing the "This is awesome," "Fight forever," "Holy shit."
Well, I'm glad we're not hearing any of that. I mean, I'm glad this predates all that. But look at the crowd right now; nobody's even on their feet. And the other thing that's interesting too, and this is the greatest sequence.
Oh God!
Ever. I mean,
oh my God!
That's make believe shit right there. That's superhero stuff. And look, there's a couple guys clapping. Hey, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's so crazy.
So pretty much we can assume the ringside seats there were like high rollers.
Well, no, I mean, some of the guys have wrestling shirts on, others have signs, but again, the perception is this is the appetizer. This is the bloomin' onion. We're here for the filet and lobster, and that's Sting, and that's the Outsiders, and that's Hulk Hogan. The perception is, well, this is fun, but not, oh my God, this is the best wrestling match we're going to see all night. And speaking of the best, we got to find out one day who deserves the credit for perhaps the best integrated marketing campaign in the history of professional wrestling, the Slim Jim ring posts.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I missed that.
Think about how silly that is. We are all actively saying, we miss that advertising. Who says that about any advertising ever? But somebody thought, hey, our ring posts kind of look like their product. What if? It's just genius.
You know what? I will say, since I don't listen to any shows with ads anymore, I do miss Blue Chew ads.
Oh my Lord.
I appreciate that.
Oh my God.
Get your ding dong real hard with promo code Rascal.
Oh God, those were great. And before ad free, I the timing of them was always so good. You guys you'd be talking to Eric about something, and you'd be like, you'd say something, and then when you need to get get the ladies excited or blue
look at
chew,
this.
and I'm like, yeah, this is phenomenal. This is I can't. You know what I miss too is the ring logo in the middle. I miss the Slim Jims in the corner.
It's also simple. There's not a shit ton of electronics and videos and lasers.
That's not what we're tuning in for.
Right.
All that stuff is for kids and sponsors and, and don't get me wrong. I took some casual wrestling fans to WrestleMania 30. And the thing they talked about more than anything else, even after the show, was, man, that just felt big. Mm-hmm. The lighting, the stage, the scale, the scope, it felt like an event. It felt like a happening. And, I get that. But at the same time, that's not why I'm watching. I'm not watching hoping to see a bunch of lasers and a bunch of LED screens. If that's what I wanted to do, I would just go, YouTube a Kanye West video or a Drake.
No, absolutely.
Billy Silverman is an underrated referee. I don't know why nobody talks about him, but he's always in the right place at the right time. He's never making a spectacle of himself. He's never the center of attention, but he's right in every right position. But it feels like when people talk about great referees, you literally never hear anyone say his name. He's just criminally underrated.
And goddamn, that bow tie looks sexy on him.
I never remember him like making a mistake or botching something or being center of any controversy. I know we talked earlier about how Ray was probably feeling the pain at this time. Ray started wrestling when he was 14 years old.
Yeah.
And here he's 23. So I would say he's probably definitely a little sore. He's definitely feeling it. What I love is, especially with luchadors, Ray shows it very well, is they do a good job of showing emotion without showing their face. Mm-hmm. So he's got his hands on his face and he's exaggerating in ways because he knows you can't read the expression on his face, because not only is he wearing a mask, his face is, the eye is painted black, which makes it even harder. It's the little tiny details that just make everything so much more impactful.
Oh my God.
That looked painful.
By the way, too, I want to mention there's a whole lot of wrestling fans who say, "Oh, I miss wrestling the way I used to be." And listen, we all agree with that in theory. However, as we see Rey Mysterio go to the top here, and boy, this was a big deal for 1997. Nobody was doing stuff like that to jump over the stairs. Anyway, I was going to say, everyone says, "Oh, I hate scripts. We don't need to script them." Oh, and I remember in my day, everybody just called it in the ring. Here's a spoiler. I've never talked to either one of these guys, and unfortunately, we won't be able to talk to Eddie, but I probably will get the chance to have a sit down with Ray one day. But this was scripted move by move, sequence by sequence ahead of time. There ain't no improv here. You can't do what they're doing just off the cuff. There has to be a discussion ahead of time. So I disagree with the sentiment that I hate scripts and I wish everything wasn't so choreographed and discussed ahead of time. If it's good, it's good, and it don't get no better than this. And this had to be laid out like, a song.
Yeah, I honestly, Connor, I think. See, for me, I've said I don't like scripts, but for me, I don't like scripts on promos. Like that's where I struggle. But at
the same time, did you like The Rock?
All of his stuff was scripted.
I like
whatever fell out of his mouth was a script.
Was it really? I didn't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really thought that was like.
That's all keywords.
All right, there you go. See, you learn something new every day, and I had
when it's good, it's good. So, I can't say I hate scripts because I love The Sopranos, and Gandolfini wasn't out there freestyling. Now, Larry David does on Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't know that you know this, but on Curb Your Enthusiasm, they don't really have scripts. They have bullet points, and the actors just improv, and that works for that show. But it doesn't for a show like The Sopranos, and
no,
I don't think you can improv what they're doing. Like, you would never be in the right position at the right time. I mean, especially that sequence we saw earlier, like that whole backflip off and the reverse TDT. And dude, there's no way you could just freestyle that and hit it.
Of course not.
Yeah, I've always been more of a, if you give a wrestler bullet points for a script and they can carry that, keep giving them bullet points. But if they're not quite there with their promos, give them a script. But I feel like a lot of guys can feel it out, like Punk or Eddie Kingston. My God, can they talk? And you just say, here's what you need to say. They got it.
Yeah, agree. Man, look at that power bomb.
That looks, he just bounces. My
It
And
God,
looked
we're
like a
watching
video
one of
game.
the best matches of all time here. But another match that people talk about that they just absolutely love is Ricky Steamboat, Randy Savage from WrestleMania 3.
Yep.
That was planned out to the detail because
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
how Randy was.
Yep.
So if it's good, it's good. And this is some good shit. And if you're not watching it, you need to watch it.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is as Conrad, as you say, if you this one match you go out of your way to watch.
Oh my god!
Well,
And
but-
everything's hard hitting. There's impact with every move. They're selling everything. They're telling the story in the ring.
And I keep coming back here for a second. You talk about how the crowd's not on its feet, that they're waiting for Hogan. The main event of this pay-per-view, as we continue our march to Starrcade 97, where WCW will start to flush itself down the drain, is a steel cage match between Roddy Piper and Hollywood Hogan that ends by submission when Piper beats Hogan. I'll be honest, this should be the main event.
Well,
Nobody's going to pay money in 1997 to watch this as the main event,
that's right.
but you're not
It's
even
a
putting
grind.
big gold on the line in the main event with the champion. Not that Piper should have been champion in 1997, but
Well, I mean, why not? Hogan was.
So,
I-
in your mind,
Now, come on.
what
Hogan's
know,
the greatest
I
heel
just-
of all time.
Yes.
I
No,
just
you're-
remember
you're-
hearing you and Bruce talk about this. What's a better match? One that draws more money or one that's better in the ring?
Hang on, I think we're gonna get ready for the finish here. This is
Yes,
freaking
sir.
unbelievable. The first time I saw this, I mean, look at the crowd too. They're gonna come out of their seats.
Oof.
Oh my god!
Oh wow.
What a moment! What a match! You know, everybody knows that I'm a huge belt nerd and a big belt collector. I've been chasing that particular belt. I don't know who has it.
That cruiserweight.
now-
I love that cruiserweight belt.
A friend of ours, Hurricane Helms, he has a cruiserweight title, but I think this one predates it. I think there were two, and I think that this was the first one, and Hurricane has the second one. But man, I want that belt mostly for this match, because that's
Right.
the reason I collect belts is the matches and moments that they're synonymous with. And that one right there, I would love just because it was around this match. So if anybody listening to this knows who has it, slide in my DMs. They're open, and I'll get
Look
you.
at that dastardly heel fucking ruining that moment. That
Straight
hearted.
He got his heat back. It's
Yes,
good
sir.
stuff. And then here's the replay.
Look at this stuff.
How do you pick highlights for a match like this?
There isn't a highlight. The match is the
Right.
highlight.
I mean, God. Oh yeah. See, into the Hurricane Rana.
This finish, though.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's fantastic. It's phenomenal. I can't even. I mean, what more could you say?
It's about as perfect of a wrestling match as you can get.
Mhm.
It really was. I don't think I saw one botch. So Conrad, we're gonna go to another match that you've said you thoroughly enjoy, and that's gonna be at ECW Heatwave, and we're gonna go to Masato Tanaka against Mike Awesome.
My goodness. What a match.
46 minutes and 32 seconds, y'all.
So let's real quick, let's get there. I've got to go in here and actually put in ECW.
What was the time code?
46:32.
Something went wrong, it says. All right, bear with me, guys. ECW. I love when
Now,
you.
I've actually intentionally never seen this match until just now. This will be my first time watching this match.
Wave. It's been a while for me.
I'm just gonna awkwardly jump in. I was gonna go for the Bruce, like crumble cake on the face, Diet Pepsi, Diet Coke, water, late gimmick.
Oh God,
No, didn't work. Didn't work at all.
heat wave there.
Will
it is.
say, I've never been so excited to watch a match because, Frank, how often do I bring up Mike Awesome? And you're like, shut the hell up. I just sing his praise. Well, except for that 70s guy, but Conrad, honored to have you here.
Oh man, thanks for having me. I'm tickled to get here and watch old wrestling with you guys. This is good stuff.
Frank,
Right.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry it's not a DOA match.
Get out of here with that.
I'm
DOA.
going down to, is it in Hattiesburg today? Or are you guys at home against? Southern Miss. Not that it matters.
No, they're in Tuscaloosa, 6:30 kick. But tonight is Big Booty Judy's birthday, so I gave my
Hey.
kids away to a guy in the office, and Megan and I are taking Cassio and Judy to dinner tonight. So it should be a fun time.
That's
So-
awesome.
We're at ECW Heatwave. I apologize. There's some sound on the boat, and it just said there's Rob Van Dam going on the whole fucking show. We're going to season 5, episode 1, and the time code is 4632. So just let me know when you guys are ready. So
I'm ready
probably,
when you are.
you were probably waiting on me. Sorry.
Give me a minute to rewind this show.
Yeah. All right. So I got to tell you, Conrad, Cassio is your MC at TGW was so great.
Good.
He is so much fun. I really like him.
Poor Paulie Brownbell was running around like a chicken with his head cut off the whole weekend. He didn't know which way was up.
Hey, Frank, what did
How's
you say
that
that time
different
code
than
was one
normal?
more time?
4632. I'm sorry.
No, you brought up those surprises hard and heavy, Conrad, and I'm already ready for the next one. And I know you said you've got the venue. I'm not going to ask you what it is, but I
didn't mean venue. I just mean town.
Oh,
We've got 2 venues who were both trying to beat the other. So I'm trying to get a good deal and make the best possible accommodation for you guys in terms of rooms and all that jazz.
and
That's awesome.
people are jumping aboard the Top Guy bandwagon now in droves after they saw Top Guy weekend, and it's like, hey, where were you 15 months ago?
I know.
Frank, I'm
Well,
ready
I mean,
to go.
Are you ready to
listen,
go? All
It
right.
feels a little crazy to say, hey, pay $99 for podcasts. I get that, but that's not what it is. And you've got to actually be a part of it to get that. No, this is a community. This is interactive Zooms multiple times a week. This is a bunch of bonus content. And I heard multiple times, hey, this is the greatest wrestling weekend of my life. That's what it is. So when you break it out, I still feel like it's a great value, but we're not done. We've got more stuff coming your way. So stay tuned.
Oh, I love it. All right. So everyone's ready. We're going to go 3, 2, 1, play. And just for all you kids out there, this is TVMA. I don't know why I threw that out there, but
The show is TV.
Yeah.
What kids?
What about
I know,
ECW
true.
screams PG in this era, Frank?
no, yeah, all right. All right. It's not PG.
The entrance letters that they walk through or walk underneath, we just saw as Mike Awesome strutting around the ring. We're going to see Masato Tanaka come through the same curtain next. But those entrance letters that hang above their head on those trusses, those are here in the studio with me right now.
Oh my god!
That's so awesome.
When did you get?
No, Mike is so awesome.
Did you do that? Is that recently you got those?
No, I got them in 2013, but there's no real way to display them on camera. They're awfully heavy, as you might imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So as I'm talking to you, they're over my head right here to the right.
That is so awesome. That is amazing.
And
Yeah,
is that the original sign? I mean, like from
Yeah, I have both
Swanson?
of them. So there's the corner of Swanson and Rittner, and I have both signs. And some of my friends laughed and said, "Wow!" So those letters right there, that's what I
Yep.
have. But now when I bought it, they didn't think you could ship barbed wire, so I'd have to put new barbed wire on there. But the actual sign I have, and frankly, I'm glad it didn't have barbed wire because I don't know how I would move it around my house and not get hepatitis or whatever.
Oh Jesus!
Right. And you
know,
can't
I
fake
couldn't help-
hepatitis.
No,
and
you
not
cannot.
to
Not be
be a
a fun
downer,
time.
but kind
That's
of
a
sort
deep
of
cut, Brandy.
I don't know, silver lining a bit. You had mentioned that Jason and getting back to guys that had really revolutionized the business. Mike Awesome left us too early. Chris Canyon obviously leaving us too early. And you talked about family the last time that you said that that's what you learned the most from both Evan and Jason. And I couldn't help but think of Canyon and having a family or support system. And that was a heartbreaking one, man. I was thinking of you during it because when you said that, I didn't expect you to answer family as your dark side of the ring answer. But
That show moved the Canyon show. That show got to me.
yeah,
I just watched.
That was a
last
tough
night.
one.
I just watched it last night, and I don't know. It's a different. I mean, it's a different era. I mean, in a way, I think Canyon probably opened the door for a lot of other people. So
Can you imagine if someone back then was openly even using the phrase mental health? I mean, that would have been perceived so differently than it is now. And I don't know. It's a shame that it happened the way it did, not only with Canyon, but with Mike Awesome. And with Mike Awesome specifically, you just know CTE played a big role.
Oh,
God.
absolutely.
But a guy like Chris Canyon, who also, had his fair share of problems before all of that, it's not like he didn't quote unquote get his bell rung. I mean, because that's what it was. Back when I played football, that's the phrase we used. Oh, he got his bell rung, or, rub some dirt on it and he'll be fine. He would miss a play and he'd be right back. Okay, I just had a brain bruise and permanently damaged myself, but if I can miss the next snap, I'll be ready to go after that. And we're better now. And so, I'm not trying to sidebar our conversation, but I'm saying, hey, you know what? People have learned and people have gotten better. And I think everyone can do better. If we can look back at head trauma and some of these physically challenging things now and say, boy, I wish we had that to do over again, then we can give people that same opportunity, that same pass. They can get better just like we did.
Who would have thought that Chris Nowinski would have spearheaded that and done so much for CTE?
I got to tell you, I recently had, as we see Mike Awesome going to do something.
Oh,
That is nuts.
On his
Think
head.
about that. This guy is another level of size from everyone else in professional wrestling, at least in this locker room. And he just did a running dive over the top, or I'm sorry, tope suicida.
Similar body type, McIntyre.
Yeah, I
similar.
think Mike Awesome.
Drew's not quite as heavy because they're billing Mike Awesome at 295. That's a big dude.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I have seen very little ECW, and back in '98, I had never watched a single ECW match, so I missed the boat on that one. And my first experience with Mike Awesome was a lot of other people's. That was the Fat Chick Thriller in ECW.
Awful.
So WCW, it's awful. But I've recently been digging back into some ECW, and I've heard you talk about how underrated Mike Awesome was and how underutilized he was, and goddamn, you are right.
But you saw him first with FMW, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and he was with Brian Adams, right? They had a faction going for a little bit.
No, when I saw him over there, he was the Gladiator.
Okay.
And he was doing hardcore death matches. So I became a tape trader in '97, and I was seeing crazy stuff like guys riding a boat to a pool, and the pond was electrocuted, or silly.
Oh my God.
So that's what I was seeing.
Yeah.
And then you see this spectacle with Masato Tanaka and it's just,
Oh boy.
I love this.
Look at, I don't remember this spot.
I
Hold on a
wonder
second.
how tough
Oh my
of a
dear
story
Lord.
that's going to be to tell.
Oh my God.
For them. Just I had interviewed a tape trader that had been around for a while, Brett FMWs. He won't give away anything away, but I talked to him, and I didn't realize that there was just so much off the canvas that happened that made Collision in Korea look like child's play. When he was telling me this stuff, I'm like, if this is real and they leave this in, wow.
I wanted to ask Conrad real quick.
Wait, are you referring to the Dark Side of the Ring FMW?
I am.
It's phenomenal.
I have a feeling so the guy, I don't know how much Brett made it in there. He's like a curator, and he's been over there 12 times, lives in Louisiana. Said they interviewed him for 6 hours, so I interviewed him. I don't know if he made the is it 2 parts?
It's 1 part.
1 part. But he talked about just Onita, and I don't want to give away too much, and it's just some of the red tape, let's just say. Real had a little bit of a darker Richard Scrooge feel.
Look at this.
I will say, in doing my research for this particular part of our show, I know very little about ECW, so I went back and I looked up a Wrestling Observer newsletter that talked about this show. And Meltzer said that in terms of actual work rate and how much they put into this, that he would call this the best show of the year. And I really didn't know if that was true or not, because sometimes Meltzer will make things up to sell newsletters. Other times he can be spot on. I went back the other night and actually watched this show with the exclusion of this match. I cut this match out and watched the rest of the show. The only other shows I remember from 1998 are King of the Ring 98 with the infamous Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and Foley, and Halloween Havoc 98, which I think we're still doing a show on somewhere out there in Neverland. And I got to say, based on everything I've seen, with the exception of this match, because I wanted to watch this one cold, I think Meltzer was absolutely right. This pay-per-view might very well have been the best of 1998. And
yeah, I think that's pretty much the common feeling amongst the hardcores at the time. But context is everything. The match we just watched, as crazy as this sounds, the match we just watched, Halloween Havoc 97, that happened the exact same month as the first ever Hell in a Cell with Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, that everybody thought was one of the best matches in company history. And this show we're watching right now from August of 98 happened the exact same month as the Madison Square Garden Highway to Hell SummerSlam with The Undertaker and Stone Cold. So when people, and I'm guilty of this too, we go online and we say, boy, there's never been a better time to be a wrestling fan. I still believe that, but I think that is on a 30 days a month type of kaleidoscope. But when you look at major events, it would be really, really difficult for us to say that this is the best time, because you look at a match or a show like this and no, this is the same month that we're getting a monster SummerSlam at MSG. These were great times to be a wrestling fan here in 97, 98.
I've talked about this on the show before, but I grew up pretty damn poor, and I lived in an apartment, and in my bedroom, it had one of those little long coax cables from the last tenant that lived there. One day I was just fucking bored. And so I screwed this coax cable with my television. Lo and behold, I had every pay-per-view, all the wrestling pay-per-views. It was unlocked for like 4 years, everything. And I'm like, I don't know why they never noticed it. So, despite the fact that I couldn't generally afford them, I got to watch them all anyway. And so I was lucky to experience pretty much all of the Attitude Era versus WCW, every pay-per-view. It was fantastic. And, you've said before that, we basically, what we're trying to do is recapture the greatest moments, get that feeling back from whatever we felt, whatever made us feel what we feel during wrestling. And we're just chasing the dragon from here on out. But I mean, it's different for everyone. Some people will say it with the old school stuff, probably, JCP or anything like that. But for me, it's that Attitude Era feel. It's the Rock and Stone Cold promos. It's DX.
The chair shots we just saw are the most brutal thing. And I have to that power bomb where he throws you. I forgot how much I liked that move. That was so good.
That's his dude. I mean, that's his move, man. Great stuff.
Conrad,
I can't believe this match.
Conrad, I wanted to ask you.
It reminds me of a country song, actually, A Feeling Like That by Gary Allan, where we're always chasing that specific high. And
he's not about to. Ow.
Conrad, real quick, I wanted to ask you, because going back to the head trauma thing, have you ever seen Chris Nowinski's head games?
I have not, but I do want to tell you, I've been fortunate enough to meet pretty much everyone in wrestling, even the Vince McMahons and the Tony Khans and all that. And of course, my wife grew up around it. And she's seen me, at all the different Starcasts and all the different events we've had to do together and blah, blah, blah. But randomly, Chris Nowinski showed up at Top Guy Weekend in our green room.
What?
And when I realized he was there, I jumped out of my seat and ran over to introduce myself to him. And we had a very brief conversation. And look at this.
Oh my God. Oh
God.
There's some CTE right there.
Oh.
And when I came back to the table, Megan said, "Hey, who's that?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, I've never seen you so excited to meet someone. Who is that? And I said, that's Chris Nowinski. And she kind of tilted her head. And I said, the guy who went to Harvard, who worked for WWE, but now has really helped spearhead CTE. She said, oh, yeah, we watch his stuff. And she said, I've just never seen you that excited to meet somebody before. I said, because here's the thing, baby. All this other stuff is just sort of grab ass. It's make believe and it's entertainment and it's for fun and it's not that serious. But that guy is legitimately helping change people's lives and helping make a mark on humanity. And I mean, the families and the lives that he has saved already, not counting what will happen in the future, but when the story of professional wrestling or professional sports, I mean, the NFL, everything is told, his name will be in bold print as they tell that story. And he's in our green room randomly. And I was not going to miss an opportunity to go say hello and introduce myself and thank him for all that he's done, because I know his life didn't exactly go according to plan. And he's made the best of it for a lot of people. And I think that's just unbelievably awesome.
I actually met him at WrestleMania 19 at Access. And he was very, very sweet, very kind. And I know that continued through with being able to figure out something to do after all of his concussion issues and how can I turn this around and make it into something positive.
I actually I'm working on my master's degree right now, and I actually go to the school
There it is.
Wow, that was insane. I think I'm gonna watch this again. The power bomb on the table.
I cringed when I saw that power bomb because he went right through. His head bounced right off that concrete.
Oh yeah,
that you'll never see anything like that.
Sweet, but it does not provide much padding.
Appreciate what we saw with that move too. It's the power that Masato Tanaka had to have to be able to do that, but also the spectacle, considering the height difference between the two. That's what made it like, wait a minute, what? Like, we're used to seeing Mike Awesome throw people around like that, but someone threw Mike Awesome around like that, and it was a much shorter, much smaller in stature person. I just thought at the time, man, Masato Tanaka is a stud and a star. But now, of course, I go back and I look at that old Fighting Spirit or whatever you want to call it, where he's taking really damning direct shots, unbelievable chair shots, and not really acknowledging them, almost like begging for more. And we know what we know now, and we're like, oh man, I don't know if I should be enjoying this or I should be cheering this. But at the time, we didn't know that. And good God, what a performance by both guys.
I just ordered my Halloween Havoc shirt.
Yeah, I'm gonna get on that.
You know what's good when you show a non-wrestling fan something,
same.
and they get heated. Like my mom got angry at Beyond the Mat seeing McFoley take so many shots and felt that The Rock was taking liberties. She was not a fan of the Sandman crucifixion angle, but getting back to that whole family aspect, you think like subconsciously or consciously, was it your uncle that you credit when wrestling's good, there ain't nothing better? And that was pretty good for an ain't for a Chicagoan, I would like to say. Pretty decent name, but was it your uncle that said that?
No, I don't know that it was my uncle, but I know that my uncle, I mean, he was a casual wrestling fan, but man, he was my barometer for when something was good or not. I mean, he was the casual enough fan that, if it got his attention, it was good.
Do you think that was kind of built into AFS? Like, was that like something that there's obviously a huge business side to this, but with that, the psychology and the time that we were and are still going through, do you think that was part of it for you, or did that just kind of come around organically? Excuse me.
Well, two separate things. I mean, I think the reason we're doing this podcast right now, and the reason anybody listens to our podcast, and the reason anyone listens to a wrestling podcast in 2021, is we're all sort of like at this point, and I don't mean to make light of substance issues, but we're all like wrestling junkies now. we're chasing that high of when we really loved it the most. And so we go back and we watch things like we just did, and we try to remember those feelings. And I think a lot of the reasons that I love 96 and 97 specifically is I remember the way wrestling made me feel then. And so when I watch that old stuff back, it makes me remember what my life was like then. And I remember watching Mind Games with Bruce here in the house 10 days ago or whenever it was. And I was thinking about PlayStation and Crash Bandicoot and all the different games that I had on, because that was what I was doing at the time. That was my life at the time away from wrestling. And I was in high school, and I just remember all that very, very well. And I think we're all sort of chasing that. But the real idea behind ad-free shows was I have a wrestling friend in my life, and it's Clint from Hershey. His real name's Clint Beckley, and he's been my wrestling buddy since we were in 8th grade. I wasn't even a wrestling fan in 8th grade, but we became friendly. And then when I started watching again in, I guess, August of 96, buddy, it was like, I'm all in. And I didn't know who I could talk to about that and who watched it, because for years it wasn't cool to be a wrestling fan. And I wasn't a wrestling fan for those years because I didn't think it was cool either. But when I saw it and I got back into it, then it was like, hey man, did you see the NWO? And so then of course it became cool and everybody was doing it. But I feel like Clint and I have literally nothing in common. We don't believe the same religious stuff or the same politics or the same, just anything. Our views on everything could not be more different, but we like the exact same wrestling.
Awesome.
He was taking pictures at the 91 flare belt or robe.
So he has become my wrestling friend, my lifelong wrestling friend. And then, through the course of the Charlotte Fan Fest back in the day that Greg Price used to put on, I got to meet a bunch of different other belt nerds, and we created a little group chat on Twitter, and that group chat grew and grew. And even now, as I'm talking to you guys, I have one screen of the Zoom and I have one screen of Twitter, and specifically that group chat pulled up because there's 12 of my best friends from all over the world. And so at any minute, I can have a conversation with them about anything. Hey, this just happened at work, or hey, Megan said this, or hey, my uncle died of COVID, or whatever. And I've got somebody to talk to about non-wrestling stuff. And I thought, dude, that's what we need, because I can't imagine, not everybody has a group chat of 12 wrestling fans from around the world. So they don't have anybody at work to talk to about wrestling. Nobody at their house watches wrestling. They need a wrestling friend. And if I didn't have Clint and he didn't still live here, because who still lives near where they went to school? Everybody just, disperses and goes on with their life. But Clint and I have stayed in touch with each other our entire lives through professional wrestling. And that's what ad-free shows was really about. And from a business standpoint, I kept hearing you guys have too many ads. So I thought, well, I want to be easy to buy from. Let's name it what it is. Adfreeshows.com. We bought the domain and forwarded it to Patreon, and it was a turnkey operation. And then eventually Evan Husney or Evan Polisher had been chasing me forever, wanting to do something with the pods. And I said, I got an idea, just hang tight. And I had to sell all the hosts on it. But once I did, and I checked all those boxes, okay, here's what we're going to do. And I would have never imagined, hey, this is going to spin off into another podcast full of wrestling friends. And yet here I am at Top Guy Theater. So it worked out.
I was going to say everything you just said, the Twitter chats, the group chats, we have that now. I mean, Phil, Brandy, we all went to Jacksonville for Full Gear in 2020. And then we met up again in May for the Double or Nothing. Carl and I went over to TJ Stevens' house in Indiana. I drove 13 hours to Indiana to hang out for WrestleMania weekend with Carl and TJ. And then
that Mike Kolb son of a bitch.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, he had to have a baby.
Yeah,
That's
Mike Kolb. We were there when Mike Kolb's wife. We weren't there, but his new son was born. The fellowship and friendship that we have. I talk to these guys more than I do friends I've known for 20 years, because they've become over the last 15 months true friends. And I mean, I linked up with Mrs. B. She is a hell of an influence and changed my life, and I wouldn't have any of that without the creation of ad-free shows. So again, everything you just described we have now, and I can't thank anybody enough for that. It just means the world to me.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you guys for your support. I'm glad y'all bought in on the vision and said, you know what, I'll try it. And I think it's working out.
I think you're doing okay. It's doing all right. Until ad-free shows, I never in my life been to a wrestling pay-per-view in person. I went to one Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Super Show, and one WWE house show when I was like 12 years old. Now I've been to 2 pay-per-views, and I'm a junkie. I want to go to more. And I know the Rumble's supposed to be here in St. Louis, and that is my all-time favorite pay-per-view. I mean, Mania is like everyone else's. Rumble is where it's at for me, and I cannot wait to go.
I love St. Louis. St. Louis is a great wrestling town.
And it's a shame. I've said this. I mean, I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's the size. Maybe it's the crime rate. Who knows? But the fact that there's not been a WrestleMania here yet is a crime. And
well, I think that's the reason there hasn't been.
Yeah, exactly. You get closer to East St. Louis, and you kind of get a little worried for yourself. So,
what are you going to say, Henry?
I was just thinking to myself as you were telling that story, Frank. I discovered the entire AFS network completely by accident. One day, I'm sitting in a car with a couple of my friends who live around near where I live, casual wrestling fans, and I had fallen completely out of it. And we're in the car, we're going to get Chinese, and one of them's listening to a podcast as the two up front are talking back and forth. And I heard you for the first time, and I had fallen so far out of wrestling that I recognized that's what you were talking about. And I won't lie to you, I began to tune it out a little bit. And then all of a sudden, I hear Eric Bischoff, and I know the voice, but I can't place it to a name right off the very top of my head. So I'm like, who's that voice? I don't know the other guy, but who am I hearing now? And he looks back at me. That's Eric Bischoff. The same Eric Bischoff that was in charge of WCW, the same Eric Bischoff that used to be GM on Monday Night Raw. Yeah. And that was how I discovered this. And I jumped into ad-free shows when you started it at one of the lower levels. And as I moved up, I got everything that you were talking about and that Frank's been talking about. And honestly, I couldn't be happier because of it.
Right.
I've got 2 takeaways from that real quick. Number one, I'm still poor as dirt. Not really, but when I first signed up for AFS, I was at the enhancement talent level, but I was eyeballing that top guy so hard. I was telling my wife about it, and I just kept talking about it. And finally, she took a look at it. And, towards the end of the first month, by the way, Evan got me good with this one, but towards the end of the first month, my wife's like, I can't let you have that top guy, because all of that stuff is like a wrestling dream come true. So I'm like, yeah, Evan, sign me up. And it was like 2 days before the end of the month. And then 2 days later, my bank account gets hit again. And I'm like, that son of a bitch. And the other thing, Henry, you talked about Eric Bischoff and how, holy crap, that Eric Bischoff. And now, because of all of this, and probably about 7 hours, we'll be doing another one of these with Eric Bischoff.
Honestly, to me, the best part of the entire Top Guy weekend was that last panel where we're watching Fall Brawl 96 and Bischoff and Mark Madden and Tony Schiavone are crapping all over Michael Buffer. Now, I went back and I listened to the intro. He's explaining how the War Games match works. When we all watched it there together, we couldn't hear what he was saying.
Right.
And it felt kind of strange to have him be part of a non-title match. And they were crapping on about how they were just paying him all kinds of money. And it was like he didn't really do anything. And I just piped up all of a sudden, well, if that's the case, why in the hell did you pay him? And then Bischoff pretended to walk off. And
Yep. Remember that. And then Sting shows up. So
And then Sting shows up.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Hey, how was your weekend? Pretty good. My godfather is now Sting.
yeah, I know. Oh, right.
That
right.
worked out.
Work.
So Conrad, my favorite quote from Eric is the fact that he always talks about his entrepreneurial spirit, that 95% that he does know, whether he's getting into the European gaming, the beer business, whatever it may be. And he's like, it's the 5% that I don't know that, you got to learn or figure out. Have you discovered that 5% yet, or is it still way too early in the game with AFS?
No, I mean, I've got a plan. I got a real big plan.
I just found that to be interesting that there was that 5% that kind of that we're always always fear the unknown. So it's like, I wonder what that 5% could be.
I don't fear the unknown. I actually, I chase the unknown. I'm not scared of it. I'm not scared of learning. And, I'm another type of entrepreneur, I guess, but in that I don't push my chips in if I'm not prepared to lose it. I ask myself before I have a big risk, financially or professionally or whatever, hey, what's the worst thing that could happen if I did this? And if that happened, could I live with it? And once I identify what the worst case is, and once I realize that I can live with it, then I'm prepared to lose it and let's go forward. Which is why, like I do gamble, I do play blackjack, but when I go play blackjack, I don't sit down at the table with $500,000. I sit down with $500 because, frankly, if I lost $500, it's no big deal. Now it's like, oh, well, that sucks. Well, let's go get lunch. But, it's not like I'm going to beat myself up about it. I'm prepared to lose that. And so I view that, that sort of equation, not just financially, but from a time standpoint. I mean, candidly, I can always make more money. And that's always been my attitude. I figured out how to make money in my life. What I haven't figured out how to make more of is time. So I take a look at an opportunity and I say, hey, what's the worst thing that could happen here? And if it happened, could I live with it? But I don't look at it like, oh, what if I lose $500? In the blackjack scenario, it's, hey, well, I'm looking to kill an hour, and I want to have some fun. I want to exchange this $500 for an hour worth of fun, and not take home an STD. So I sit down at the blackjack table, and ta-da, we're good to go. So I think mine and Eric's approach might be a little different, but we're sort of saying the same thing, maybe.
Very neat. No, I'm just only going to come into your office until you give me ice cream and kick me out, and all my problems are fine.
Isn't that, what's funny is I got a lot of comments about that, but the psychology behind that is funny and it's perfect. It's just the way people think. Like, it's hard to be pissed off eating an ice cream cone. So
that's damn straight.
You
That's how I got
be
these
pissed
double chins.
off.
Conrad, I mean, on that note, I want to let you get out of here. I know you got a busy day, so
Grill and JR is on deck, boys and girls. We're
all right.
talking about Chris Jericho's 99 and 2000. I got my notes. I'm ready to go, and I hope that JR is extra ornery this morning.
Red ass JR. Yeah. So again, thank you so much for doing this with us. Really, really, really appreciate it. And have a good rest of your day, and we look forward to listening to the next Grill and JR.
Man, thanks for inviting me. This means a lot, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come on, and I respect what you guys have built here. I mean, this is our original vision for ad-free shows and just a spin-off of what we're doing, and I'm glad to have you guys a part of it, and without your support, we wouldn't be bringing on guys like John Alba or talking to other podcasts or other wrestlers who want to be podcasters. They see the success of what we've done, and you guys made all that happen. And double special shout out to Brandy. We're in rarefied air to have top gals. That's not normal. And we appreciate that. And we appreciate that in wrestling, you can be a little different and you can be, a little eccentric and you can like wrestling more than you should, because we all do. And that's what brings us all together. And I just think it's cool to be on here with you guys on a Saturday morning. So thanks for having me.
Let me sneak this in here real quick. We started almost over a year ago for Top Guy Theater now. We had one major guest over the last year, and that was Thunder Rosa. And then we've had Swoggle, you, Eric Bischoff, and we're building a portfolio, but kind of a sneak peek. By the end of October, you're going to be seeing and hearing a lot more of us. We've got a nice little plan in place, and we're going to be everywhere pretty soon.
That's great,
And
man.
you're welcome back with us anytime, Conrad.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
Conrad.
Take care.
Thank you.